Boosteroid, the #1 independent cloud gaming platform in the world. You might have heard Boosteroid as one of the biggest competitors to another very popular cloud gaming platform, Nvidia's GeForce Now. Boosteroid is a Ukrainian-owned company, and even in the midst of the war, they've been making plenty of changes and upgrades to their platform over the past several years with access to several locations around the world. This means you can play some of your favorite games through the cloud, even on your mobile device. Now, is the service worthy of your subscription? Let's dive into the pros and cons of the Boosteroid cloud gaming platform. First, you might be wondering what the heck cloud gaming even is. Now, we have a ton of information on this, but to keep it super simple, think of it as an app to stream your favorite movie or show, but for gaming. Play your games through the cloud. No installs, no game consoles, no expensive supercomputer. This includes playing them on PC, laptop, your mobile device, or on your TV. It's that easy. Boosteroid plays the games you own from popular PC third-party game distributors like Steam, the Epic Game Store, and the Microsoft Xbox PC Store, including Game Pass and others. Buy your games from these sites, and you'll be able to play them on Boosteroid through the cloud with a subscription. This includes support for just about any device. Now, I did want to let you know about this install section. So why is this section different? Well, basically this works the same as the standard library section, but with a catch. These are generally games that aren't fully approved by the publisher to have on the platform. So Boosteroid allows you to install these games on their servers as long as you agree to the terms. This does put the legal aspect on you, but the process only takes seconds. Now, it's been about 2 years since we made our last review on the Boosteroid platform, and so many things have changed. Subscriptions, video quality, the queue system, and the Microsoft partnership. Let's start with going over subscriptions first. Now, since our last review, Boosteroid only had one tier sporting playing your own games at 1080p up to 60 FPS only. Early in 2024, they started to deploy 4K servers for a new subscription tier, the Ultra tier. In late 2024, they completed their 4K server installation in the EU and the US, and then combined the standard and Ultra tiers into one tier. Now, every Boosteroid user benefits from being able to stream games up to 4K and 120 FPS. But sorry guys, there's no free tier. It's just too expensive for them at this point. They are not ruling it out for the future though.
It may happen in the future. It may be ad-based, but it's very, very early to talk about that right now. Right now, we just can't afford it.
So one of the things that's very popular in the cloud gaming space right now is the fact that many cloud gaming platforms have time play limits. This was actually one of the big highlights for competitor GeForce Now. Recently though, Nvidia introduced a 100-hour monthly time play limit. Other platforms like OnePlay also have various time play limits. Boosteroid is dedicated to having zero playtime limits. The CEO himself has stated, and I quote, that they will not introduce any limits. As a gamer myself, the idea of restricting playtime simply doesn't sit right with me. You have my word, as long as I'm CEO of Boosteroid, we will always champion unlimited gaming. This is something that will go very far with many gamers, since players do not want to feel that they are being restricted with a service that they paid for. I understand that cloud gaming can be expensive, but I find it crazy that a much bigger company offering a very similar service is limiting playtime.
I am shocked! Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
Kudos to Boosteroid for unlimited playtime. Now here's one thing that I had a pet peeve on. I've had plenty of people comment that they cannot purchase a subscription because euros are not supported by many US banks, and in turn think the transaction is fraudulent. This is very true. I have accounts at multiple banks, and the first bank I tried didn't work several years ago. It still doesn't work today, so it's a good thing my other one did, or else we might have never covered Boosteroid at all. But as I was making this video, they have added support for US dollars. Now here's another great update. For those looking to pay by PayPal, you are now in luck. Boosteroid has re-added PayPal as a means to pay for a subscription. It was removed from the platform some time ago, but now it's back. This is a great way to get around the bank problem if you're having issues. Now with the addition of 4K mid-2024, Boosteroid has updated their app significantly to support higher resolutions, bit rates, and stream FPS. Now we'll get more into performance of this a little later, but they now have given users the ability to choose their FPS stream rate and bit rate so you can support higher quality streams. Running a connection test on their site should tell you how high you can set your bitrate in the app settings. Boosteroid does have an automatic bitrate setting, but it isn't designated as such. The app UI should be updated to show that the default setting is set to auto. I've had so many comments saying that their video and gameplay will skip if the auto bitrate doesn't seem to work for you. You might have to manually set this yourself. 40 megabits per second is a great minimum setting for streams up to 4K. Just make sure your internet and your device can handle the speed. Now Boosteroid has worked directly with their partner AMD to fix low latency issues while streaming games on the platform. Boosteroid has significantly improved their whole infrastructure to improve latency, especially with competitive games. Now I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's a huge improvement and they should be continuing to improve the service in the future. Is it better than GeForce Now? Well, that's up for debate. My honest opinion, it's just shy of being as good, at least here in the US. On the flip side though, there have been reports of Boosteroid subscribers in Europe that still have major latency issues even after the latency updates. Now I don't know the exact reason, but you should know something about the Boosteroid server setup. For their US servers, they use a company called TierPoint. They use more than a half a dozen other servers here on the map, as you can see on their connection test. Omaha, Nebraska is coming very soon. This is also the reason why the West Coast doesn't have the best connection. TierPoint has no servers in California. Boosteroid is working on this.
We remember California, and we will make this California dreaming come true very soon, because that's what we need.
Now I'm unsure who Boosteroid is working with in Europe. It's not TierPoint, so this might be the reason why performance and latency may vary in Europe. They also just added servers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. We'll have to see if they have the same issues. And sorry Indian and East Asian players, there are no servers in your area at this time. They're in talks, but it might be a while.
There are certain things from the investment point of view, from the business operations point of view, that you need to figure out if you want to deploy in the Middle East, Asia, and so on. So of course this is on the radar. We're trying to talk to the local partners. Specifically what I'm talking about is India, Indonesia, South Korea, and Japan, but other markets too. So it's definitely on the radar, but it's not safe for me to provide any dates right now.
And let's not even talk about Russia. The whole country is off their map entirely.
As a Ukrainian company, our stance is highly influenced by the ongoing war, and our principal position is to not add games from Russian developers. So be sure that titles like Atomic Heart or Escape from Tarkov will never be added to the Boosteroid game library.
Nope.
Now another addition that is new to Boosteroid is the queue system that was introduced in late 2023. People were outraged when they deployed this change, and many people left the platform. Granted, as a paying user, it does stink to have to wait to play your games. I get it. But surprisingly enough, Boosteroid is actually late to the game here. No pun intended. Every cloud gaming platform I can think of has a queue system in place. Even Shadow. A queue system is actually necessary to manage users effectively when things get busy. If things get too busy, everyone suffers and you'll have performance like this. Come on, Boosteroid. Come on! So overall, this is a good change for the platform. Now you will also have less queue time since they have added more servers with the launch of the 4K Ultra tier. Now I'm not saying you'll have no queue time, but the wait should be minimal to none most times. And the last major change for the platform is the 10-year partnership with Microsoft. Now if you're familiar with the deal Nvidia has with Microsoft, Boosteroid got the exact same one. This means they'll eventually have access to all of Microsoft's first-party PC games on the platform. As of now, they have plenty of Xbox PC games that can be accessed with your Game Pass account or bought separately through the Microsoft Store, but it is currently up to Microsoft when the rest of the Xbox PC catalog will be added. For instance, they just officially added support for plenty of current and older Call of Duty games, including the old Modern Warfare 2 from 2009. But what about the rest of Boosteroid's game library? You'll know that this platform has one of the most stellar game libraries in the history of cloud gaming. Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, Cyberpunk, and the list goes on. Feel free to click on the link in the description to go to their website to see the full list for yourself. This would also include game publishers like Rockstar, including games like GTA, Red Dead Redemption, and Sony games including God of War and Spider-Man. WB games are also on this list, including the Batman Arkham games and Hogwarts Legacy. Now you might be asking yourself, how come I don't see these games on the other guy's platform? You know who I'm talking about.
Who?
All jokes aside, this is because of the install section. As I mentioned previously, the install section is where you can play games that the publisher hasn't fully agreed to have on the platform yet. So there are a couple of downsides, like these games are not fully supported, so if there are any issues with bans or anything like that, this is kinda on you. Play at your own risk. Now saying all that, it's pretty rare for someone to get banned. The other thing I have seen is the Denuvo anti-tamper issue, where people have logged into too many PCs to play the game in a 24-hour time span. Now, many of these issues happen because Boosteroid isn't an official provider for many of these games, including games that are even part of the library section. There could be a chance that if your game was here before and it's suddenly gone, the publisher might have requested it to be removed. Are you understanding how this works now? The other aspect with the install section is the fact that many publishers are now implementing checks to deny players who are playing on a virtual machine, which most cloud gaming platforms are running, including Boosteroid. For those looking to play, let's say, PUBG or FC24 or 25, you are now out of luck until Boosteroid finds a solution for this problem. Now let's talk meat and potatoes. Boosteroid's performance. As mentioned earlier, their new 4K Ultra tier is a significant upgrade from their old standard 1080p tier. They have partnered with AMD to bring high-end cloud gaming hardware, which includes AMD EPYC 4th generation Zen processors, custom-made Radeon RX 7900 XT GPUs, and 28 gigs of DDR5 RAM. And yes, this really does compete with the GeForce Now Ultimate tier. But by how much? Well, I've tested several games on the platform, and I won't go into huge differences on what games are better or worse, because I've made plenty of videos on that. Here's the main video comparing titles with benchmarks. Feel free to check that out. Ultimately, what you really need to know is that the Boosteroid Ultra tier is about 10 to 15% less powerful than the GeForce Now Ultimate tier. But you should also know that most of this will be determined on whether games support certain perks like scaling technologies, frame generation, or ray tracing. Not all games support these features, which can significantly boost a game's performance on any particular service. Here is the limiting factor when it comes to the Ultra tier. As I mentioned, this tier is made up of all AMD hardware. This means you will not get access to tech like DLSS or Nvidia's frame generation, which is apparent in many games. AMD Tech has its own version of scaling technology, FSR, and FSR3 frame generation. The problem is that many games don't support both, kinda like the latest Indiana Jones game. Cyberpunk 2077 is also a game that just got FSR3 support, so it can run frame generation on AMD hardware. So because of all this, performance can vary in many different games. You also need to know that the old hardware, the standard tier hardware, is not completely gone. The standard configuration is still in use for several games, including lower end games like the enhanced version of GTA 5 and the brand new game Fragpunk, as we found out. The Quadro RTX 6000 has plenty of power to run older or lower end games like this, but also might have issues with maximum settings or decoding frames, especially at 4K. Fragpunk is a game where you need quick, smooth frames. This should have been saved for newer hardware. But don't let this stop you from trying Boosteroid. Boosteroid has promised that they'll be getting even better 4K hardware from AMD later this year. Yes, both CPU and GPU will be based on AMD's latest generation of hardware.
We specifically are looking into new CPUs and new GPUs because, AMD has announced the release of the next gen GPU, so we'll be using that. We will also use AMD CPU, the new one. We're still selecting between a few, but they will be much better than what we use now.
Yeah, things to look forward to. Be on the lookout for our benchmarks for these upgrades in the near future. So what devices are compatible with Boosteroid? Well, the platform might be the most popular on Windows PC and laptop devices, but the service can be played on your Chromebook, mobile devices including Android and iOS, and smart TVs including Android TVs, LG TVs, and Samsung TVs with the Samsung Gaming Hub. Be aware that the app performance may vary on each device. It's been reported by others and through our own testing, playing on the app versus the browser may perform a bit different. Some have reported the browser performing better than the app, and vice versa. This could go for the desktop or mobile versions. This might all depend on your device though, how strong your internet is, and your distance from your Boosteroid server. You might need to see what works best for you. Also, note that currently Boosteroid only streams 1080p on TVs. There is currently no specific time on when they will support 4K. Now, because of the various differences you might get on different devices, your experience on Boosteroid might be completely different depending on what device you're on. So the issues you might have might not necessarily be on Boosteroid itself, but it could stem from your device or even your internet. But to be fair, this is kinda a factor for every cloud gaming platform and not just Boosteroid. Now, one of the best things about Boosteroid is their support staff. They are available 24/7 and always reply quickly, at least in my case. You can talk to a live agent on their website. Now, you do have to get through the AI help bot, but once you get to a real support agent, they are great at helping you out.
Our support team is spread out across various parts of Ukraine. When you're chatting with a Boosteroid support agent, you're speaking with someone from Berezhany or Bila Tserkva or Chernihiv and many other beautiful Ukrainian cities. So yeah, we work from different parts of Ukraine, but we are united by our mission to provide the best support possible. It's a challenging job, but it's incredibly rewarding. Whether it's the troubleshooting of a technical issue or simply guiding you through our services, our support team is always here to help.
Now, saying all of this, there are some things that need to be changed or updated. Granted, they are always working on improvements, but there are some glaring issues and also things I would love to see personally. Boosteroid has a Steam authentication issue. Since Boosteroid's IP is signed in France, when you sign into Steam in the US or anywhere far from France, and you have Steam Guard, it's not going to allow you to log into your account due to Steam thinking you are too far away from the server. Boosteroid's temporary solution to this is to remove your Steam Guard. No, that's not going to fly for many people, and nor should it. Removing security is not a good solution. This is something Boosteroid needs to address as soon as possible. Also, Boosteroid needs to find a way to keep their games updated on a regular basis. They keep the most popular games updated pretty well, but there have been games that we have played that needed significant updates. Now, if you've ever encountered this, feel free to contact the friendly support staff as I mentioned previously, and they'll be happy to update the game you need. But this is something I believe Boosteroid should work on. I don't want to have to contact support every time a game I want to play that was overlooked needs to be updated. Now for my last point, it's not really an update or change. I'm just curious on why Boosteroid went with the Ultra tier instead of my suggested name, the Hyperdrive tier, because everything being space related. That's fine, I get it. You wanted this tier to sound similar to Ultimate, and well, you nailed it. So much so, even top management gets confused sometimes.
These are all Ultimate.
All Ultra?
Oh, sorry, yeah, all Ultra.
So what are the next big advancements for the platform? Well, speaking of Drive, Boosteroid has car gaming in the works. We have a whole interview on that. Boosteroid also wants to solve their stream problem with their new upgrades, with service-level technologies. These will be built directly into Boosteroid Stream in conjunction with their partner AMD. We also have an interview covering these upcoming improvements. And of course, Boosteroid is constantly adding more capacity and new locations, so make sure you're subscribed to keep on top of any new locations they announce. Overall, Boosteroid is shaping up to be one of the world's greatest cloud gaming platforms. With 4K here and the additional upgrades coming, they will be fighting for that top spot. Are they better than their biggest competitor GeForce now with their ultimate tier? Game-wise, maybe. Performance-wise, not just yet. Will these upcoming upgrades change all that? Well, we'll just have to see. One thing is for sure though, these improvements are exciting to hear. So if you're looking to jump on the Boosteroid bandwagon, the sign up link is in the description. And if you like this complete review of the Boosteroid platform, give us a like. Also, make sure to join as a member of the channel or join our Patreon and our Discord in the links below. And above all else, make sure to subscribe to keep it locked right here at the only place we can do battle in gaming heaven, Cloud Gaming Battle.
Who